I think for companies that rapidly now need to digitalize, they can actually pick up speed with WordPress.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Eric Jones. I'm here with Magne Ilsaas, the founder and CEO of Dekode. Magne, it's good to have you.
Nice to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Dekode and what makes you unique in the marketplace.
Well, WordPress, obviously, we've been around since 2010, so it's our 12th year now. I guess what makes us unique in the WordPress context is we're in the Nordics, and there's not a lot of kind of enterprise level agencies in the Nordics. So that's unique in the sense that there's not much competition when it comes to WordPress at this level. Then over the last, I would say 3-4 years, we've focused a lot on the NGO space. So we do a lot of work with the bigger NGOs, a lot of fundraising work and bigger big organizational platforms. So we're getting pretty good at that.
The world has obviously changed a lot over the last 2 years, and digital has stepped in more as a part of all of our lives. What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you've seen as the CEO of Dekode in this new embracing of digital?
Well, there's challenges both on how to run an agency in this kind of through these 1.5 years. I think for us, you expected COVID to kind of lower the incoming work, but for us it actually went up. Mm-hmm. And 2021 was actually our best year ever. So we're getting the hit right now where we see internally that people are worn out, working from home, kids running around and so on. On the client side, I think it's going to differentiate a bit because the people or the companies that were kind of doing the right things going into COVID, it's sped up the digitalization, and also us as consumers are more ready for digital services now. So I think it's going to be a bigger, stretch between like the average companies aren't there anymore. Either you understand it and you can thrive on it, or you don't, and it will be tough keeping up.
How are you helping your employees deal with things like burnout?
This year we said we're going to lower our expectations just to get through it. There's more sick leave than we want. We do what we can in terms of kind of coaching, training, having yogas online and these things, but at some points it feels almost a little bit out of our hand even. So being there for them, talking loudly that it's challenging for everyone, and creating acceptance that it's okay to be worn out at this point, and we'll deal with it both individually and as a company.
Right. Tell us how WordPress has helped a lot of these companies as they've had to embrace digital more over the last 1.5 years.
I think the biggest benefit of WordPress is kind of where it came from. It used to be, or it still is, a big DIY platform, which means you can do stuff quite rapidly. And if you do it the right way, you can do it with great success. So I think for companies that rapidly now need to digitalize, they can actually pick up speed with WordPress and get something out of it that's high quality from the get-go.
Could you share a recent customer case study that you worked on where they came to you with some challenge, and then what you were able to do for them with your whatever tech stack you recommended, and what the business results were for that client?
Yeah, so the first case study that has been really interesting for us, we've been working with the biggest political party in Norway, and this year was election year. So that obviously it's both an important tool, but also it's not just us as voters that are using this tool. It's a big organization, central organization that needs really professional communication and marketing tools, but also political offices all around the country. So we ended up launching a multi-site with, I think, 370 sites on it, where we had to tailor to a professional organization that needs the flexibility and the tools. But then you have, on the other hand, a local organization that has never touched the CMS. So we had to kind of make that publishing experience very different from the big one. I think right now what we're seeing is what Gutenberg allows us to do in terms of scalability, design systems, and reusability. It's super interesting. So we do a lot of work with these bigger organizations where it's never a site. It might be 10, 15, 50 sites. So to be able to instead of making something super custom, to go approach it from a design system perspective and make it a flexible tool for them, it's really enabling a lot of interesting work.
What kind of pushback, if any, do you get when you recommend WordPress as a solution for these bigger enterprises?
Well, at this point, not as much. We have enough case studies, so businesses feel safe. Mm-hmm. And in our local market, we're fairly known for what we do. So most of the clients we work with already has made the choice approaching us.
Where do you think digital experiences will go now in over the next 2-3 years? Do you think?
We're seeing a lot more focus on reusability, design systems, because technology is getting, there's so many approaches that you can take, and it's becoming really big, and most companies don't have the resources to do everything, so they need to focus. So from a technical perspective, we see a lot of the kind of more long-term focus. It's not just a site we're building and then we're building something new in 3 years. It's more, how can we build something and grow into it and iterate on it? With that, we're seeing that the clients that we work with that has this long-term perspective, they actually grow their competencies as well. So a client, the first project with a client might not be even that interesting, but since we focus on the longevity of the project, we grow with them, and we see after 6 months, after 12 months, what they come to us for gets more interesting, more complex, because they can actually master their tools. So I think we'll see a lot more focus on knowledge, like how to, for us as an agency, how can we enable you? How can we actually transfer more knowledge so that you're self-sustained in what you do and you don't have to rely on us as an agency? So when we manage to enable you, you become a better client and start ordering more interesting stuff. So it's more fun for everyone involved, I guess.
Are you seeing an uptick in requests for e-com?
Yeah, a lot.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing, some of the challenges, and how you're going about addressing those?
From a technical perspective, there's obviously Woo still has its little quirks, but most of the time we manage to work around that. That's in terms of scale. Mm-hmm. So having good kind of add-ons or technology that plays well with Woo is really good. What we're seeing to Woo's benefit, it used to be like Woo is just a plugin for WordPress. It's not a real e-commerce system. What we're seeing now is, it's not enough to just have a web shop. You need the tools to do marketing and storytelling. And there Woo and WordPress is actually really good. Most other cases that you see, you have to kind of pair a e-commerce platform with a CMS. Mm-hmm. We don't have to do that pairing. It just works. So for clients that rely quite heavily on storytelling and marketing and making interesting experiences, I think Woo and WordPress is a really good match.
What's the best piece of professional advice that you've ever been given?
For me, that's been around positioning, to really narrow down on our positioning. That's what led us to focus on the NGO kind of organizations, and it's doing really interesting things for us at this point. I would say probably half of our revenue is now through big NGOs, which of course makes a lot of sense, both for me personally, but also for my colleagues at Dekode. So the effort we put into things actually is beneficial for not just the brand or selling something. Yeah.
Right, it's associating yourself with a purpose.
Yeah, so to really dare to go into a position and work through that position has really changed things for us.
One of the questions we love asking is a book that you'd like to recommend to our viewers.
Yeah, so the positioning work we were doing actually started out with a book. Now it's a couple of years since I read it, but it's a book I revert to quite a lot. It's a book called Business of Expertise, written by David C. Baker. So he's a consultant for agencies. I both read his book and also worked with him as of late, and that it's changed the way we do business.
Magne, thank you so much.
More than welcome. Thank you.
That was Magne Ilsaas, the founder and CEO of Dekode.